Hello everyone, it's Jill the Wandering Stamper. It is now 2024. I know I had a video post last week on January 3rd or 4th, I believe. I actually shot that before Christmas because we went to Colorado to spend time with our children and our grandkids. So it feels like forever since I've been on here, but for you guys, it's only been a week. It is, as you know, the most wonderful time of the year. It's celebration time. Our new mini catalog is out. This is good from January to the end of April. It has so many really cool, fun things to play with. I just don't even know where to start. I've ordered several things because there's so many things I want to show you. So the next several videos will be all of the fun products in the mini catalog, the spring mini catalog, and also this celebration. If you don't know what celebration is, it is a time that runs from January 4th to February 29th. I've got lots of people walking by and dogs. It's distracting me. Celebration is free product that you earn for every $50 you spend with Stampin' Up products. You get to pick out free items, and I'm going to show you some of the items, but they're so good. So let's take a moment to turn the camera down so I can show you the catalogs and show you the fun project we are working on. Give me a moment and we'll be ready to start. Thanks so much for joining me. So here is, if you haven't seen it, our mini catalog. Stampin' Up puts this mini catalog out at the beginning of January and it runs through April, and after that most of these products will be gone. Once in a while one will show up in the new annual catalog that will come out in May, but you can't bet on that. I'm not sure what they'll do. They're always surprising us with some great things, so who knows. So you want to, if you see something you love, you want to grab it because it could be gone in April. So this mini catalog it's also an idea book, and it's just chock full of kits and products that are specific to any occasion, but also holidays that are coming up in the spring. So there's Mother's Day, Father's Day, there's spring things, there are Valentine's. Look at this. This is the suite of products from my video from last week. I didn't have this catalog handy because my mail gets a little wonky RVing full time, that I actually never received mine, so I had to order some. I do have a mail service that delivers our mail to wherever we are, and sometimes they accidentally throw away my Stampin' Up stuff, so my catalogs, because they think it's junk mail. So anyways, I need to fix that. But here is that Be Mine suite of products. But today we are going to be using the Enduring Beauty Mix and Mask set. I have looked at masks for, I think they've been around for quite a while, and I never used them because I kind of really didn't know what to do with them. And when I saw this stamp set and the coordinating dies, it's totally a bundle here. I had to get them and try it out, and you know what? I wish I would have played with masks sooner because now I'm addicted. This Enduring Beauty beauty set comes with these gorgeous stamps. The focal point is this large flower. And then if you purchase the bundle, you can get the Enduring Beauty decorative masks that go along with it. And what it does is it layers all the elements of the flower. So you can stamp the flower by itself, or you can color in each part of the flower using these decorative masks. And I'm going to show you today how to do that because it truly is really simple, but it makes your card just really have a wow factor. And of course, like I mentioned, these catalogs are like idea books. So you can see here that there's lots of ways you can use a stamp set. You can use it like a traditional stamp and just simply stamp the image down. You can use just the decorative masks and just give it kind of a free flowy feel. And then here you use everything together and stamp, and you can use the coordinating dies and punch it out and punch out some layers of flower leaves to go with it, and just make all kinds of, from simple to intricate, all kinds of cards. So we're going to get started with that. But if you get a chance to look at this catalog, you can look at it online if you go to my website wanderingstamper.com and click on my online store, you'll see a link to this catalog if you don't have one, so you can peruse it and look at all the fun things. And as I mentioned, every $50 worth of product that you purchase, you get free items, and they aren't nothing. These free items include entire stamp sets, designer series paper. I mean, the most gorgeous designer series paper. I think I've managed to scarf up most of it because I love it so much. This paper, oh, it's gold and pink and red. It's beautiful for Valentine's Day. There's opaque faceted gems, so you get embellishments, you get ribbon. This set, we're going to play with this set soon. This is Heartfelt Hellos, and it has Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter. It's just so useful. Birthday, hello, like you can use it for so many things. So the free products that they give you in celebration, during celebration, are amazing. Like this Jungle Pals, can't wait to play with this with you. But today we're going to play with this. I have this bundle. This is a free bundle, and we're going to play with this embossing folder. This embossing folder is so pretty. It's the softly sophisticated embossing folder, and it actually coordinates with a stamp set that we have. We'll play with that at another time. And it's beautiful. It's really gorgeous. And I wanted to also mention on the same page, there's another set of stamps here that are free, and they happen to coordinate with the Petal Park Builder Punch that you may already have from a past stamp set. So I love when they do that so that you can keep on using those punches. And of course, right now they have a really special, and I'm so jealous because demonstrators can't get this yet. But if you sign up either as a hobbyist or an independent demonstrator, for $99, you're basically picking out almost $200 worth of product for $99, but it includes for free this brand new glass mat. It's a 17 by 14 inch heavy duty tempered glass crafting mat, and it has a raised non-slip rubber feet on it, and then it has a white background printed with a gray grid. It's heat and scratch resistant, so you can just wipe it off. You can stamp your stuff on it. It's kind of like having that grid paper, but you can wipe it off and keep using it again and again. And it comes with a silicone mat that also has these little holders in there, so you can put your stamp pad on it. You can put ink drops on it to use your water painters and paint. It holds the ink spots. It holds little embellishments, and you can rinse it off. It's silicone, so you can just rinse it off, and it also has a cleaning mat. So I'm kind of jealous because I really want this, but can't get it right now. Hopefully we'll be able to order these later on at some point, but right now they're only for brand new demonstrators. And as you know, you can be a demonstrator, but you could also get this and sign up as a hobbyist if it's something that you are planning to purchase regularly. Product. This is a great way to get all of your core items. So anyways, there's some really great free options, and if you don't want that, you also get the chance to pick out $30 in free products to add to your starter kit. So your $99 starter kit already has $125 worth of products, plus you could get another $30 in product on top of that, or you can get this glass mat set, which actually retails for $60. So some really good stuff. All right, so let's get started. Enough about that. I just get super excited about that. So it's kind of a fun time of the year in Stampin' Up. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to play with these gorgeous Enduring Beauty stamps. Look at this stamp. It's so pretty, and it's got lots of gorgeous sayings and a couple little pieces to add some extra pop to your card. And then it coordinates really nicely with this softly sophisticated embossing folder. So we're going to use that. And these are the decorative masks. Love these masks. So they take all parts of the stamp, and you can color in and kind of like highlight different parts of the flower using them. And Stampin' Up not only numbered them so you know which one you're working with. I tend to use them out of sequence, so I'm not sure how the numbers play in, but they all have a little notch, so it makes it really easy to keep all of your stuff lined up. And I'm going to show you a trick for doing that. And we are going to create this card. Look how beautiful it is. It's not a fun fold, it's not a crazy hard card, but I wanted to show you how to use these stamps and masks together and the embossing folder, because it's a really easy way to create a card that is just so gorgeous that people are going to love to receive it. And you could give it any kind of, you know, message. It could be birthday, thank you, I'm sorry, you know, sympathy, whatever. It's just such a beautiful flower. So here we go. And I have some other samples to show you so you can see the varieties of ways that you can do it. So I'm going to set this aside. Grab my grid paper out and we'll get started. I had some large grid paper and I just went ahead and cut it in half so it fits my table better. I'm kind of trying to be a little more organized for the new year. So I already cut the paper because I think you know how to cut paper. I mainly wanted to focus on using these mats. So for this card, I used Melon Mambo and Old Olive. I just feel like I wanted to use something different that I don't think I've ever put together, and I don't think I've ever put these two colors together, but they look really pretty together. So the base of the card is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of paper scored at 4 1/4. So it's just your standard card base. All right. So I'm just going to crease that with my bone folder, and I'm going to set that aside. And then on the top of the card, make sure I have the right layers, I have cut out a piece of Old Olive 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. This is my inside. This is my outside. And then a piece of basic white that is 3 3/4 by 5. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show a nice amount of this Melon Mambo, but then I wanted to also pull in that Old Olive. And so I just cut it so it has a very narrow margin around the white. And so when you layer it all together, it looks super pretty. And then for the inside of the card, I basically did the same thing. And the inside of the card, you could just do white and it would be totally pretty. But I went ahead and cut out my white piece, which is my Old Olive piece is 4 3/8 by 5 1/8. And then my white piece is 4 1/4 by, what did I do? Now I have to measure it. I did 5. Okay, so I did 5 1/4 by, so I did 4 by 5 1/4 for the white. And then slightly bigger. So probably 4 1/8 by, what did I do? I did 4 3/8 by 5 1/8, and then I did 4 1/4 by 5, I believe. I will write that down in my instructions. We'll measure it toward the end. I don't want to waste time figuring that out right at the moment. So let's get started. So the way I did this is I took the large flower. As you can see, it's really, really big, and I love that. It's so pretty. And I like the top of the flower to be this way. So there's let me grab the box here. So the top of the stamp is this flower that's kind of halfway opened. So I like that to kind of be at the top. It really doesn't matter, but that's my top. So I kind of lay that out so that's at the top. I have to look at it this way. Okay. And then I'm going to stamp, and you could stamp in any dark color, but I'm going to use my Memento ink because I have it right here. And I'm going to ink this up really well. And as you know, this is a really big stamp. So I like to put the ink down on the stamp instead of the stamp down on the ink. That just lets me see that I'm not forgetting anything. And once that's inked up well, then I'm going to carefully flip it over. I have dropped this, so you want to hold on to it tight, people, because it will slip out of your hands. And then I'm going to kind of figure out, kind of just roughly in the center, and put that down, just any way you like it. And then you're going to give it a good push. Now, if you have, there's a new brayer. It's in the mini catalog. It actually may be a free product. I always forget. I think it's in the mini catalog. It is a brayer, and you can run that brayer on here on these large stamps and kind of just make sure you've pushed it down, but this will work too. So then carefully pick it up and pop it off, and there's my image. I'm going to go ahead and stamp off some of this black before I clean my stamp so I don't have a mess. So there's my stamp. So that's gorgeous just the way it is, but we're going to color it in. So what I like to do before I color it in, I take a tiny bit of Stampin' Seal because you can just rub it off later, and I just stick a little piece in the middle and then flip it over and just lay it down on my grid paper. And that's just so my paper doesn't move. I didn't put enough on there. So I put a little bit on there and then just kind of, I'm going to put this off to the side and you'll see why. So I lay that down, and so now it's not going to slip. It's going to kind of stay in place. And then when we're done, we'll just take it off. So now that that's on there, I'm grabbing a couple pieces of, this is just frog tape. I have a link to this on my online store. It won't tear the paper, but it holds things in place, and then you can take them off when you're done. So I have that, so you just want to have all that ready. And then here are our mats. So the way I like to start out is I like to start out with the flowers first, which happens to be the number 1. There's little numbers on these. So this is the number 1 mask. And so I actually line this flower up first. I found that it's easier to find the outline of that flower. And then once I do that, everything else kind of falls in place. So I line that all up using the guide, the stamp as a guide. And once that looks good, I just go ahead and put a piece of this tape down. And then what helps me, and you can do this, you don't have to, but I'll take my pencil and kind of draw around the edges of this mask. So when I lay the subsequent masks down, I kind of know roughly where to start out at to find my location. You don't really have to do this. I just find that it makes things quicker. So I've got that done. Everything's in place. So now I'm going to grab Melon Mambo stamp pad. And what I like to do with these is I have a brush, so we're going to use a brush to brush on the ink. You could brush the ink right from the pad, but I find that too much ink gets on there and it dries your ink pads out. So I'll take a block and just stamp the block onto the ink pad. That is more than enough color. You can even use a smaller ink, a smaller square, and these just rinse off under the sink. So I will grab that and I'll ink it up and I'll just brush some on, and then I come over here and brush a little so I know how heavy the color is going to be. And you want to use a very light hand with this. Just whisper it on. Don't do it heavy. And I'm going to show you what happens when you go a little too heavy, because I do have one that I didn't like and I just went a little too heavy with the ink. So very lightly just brush your color on. You don't have to push down. And as you can see, this was a pretty juicy pad, so I'm not even having to go back to my block to put more ink on. Now my old olive, which we're going to use in a moment, it was a little drier, so I had to go back to that a lot. But look at this, I never even inked that up more than once. So I'm just coloring this in and making sure everything's colored. If you wanted to add more, you just grab a little here, go over here and make sure it's not gloopy. Is that a word, gloopy? Just add a little bit more on there. And when you're done, when you like it, just set this aside. And I keep a brush for each shade, so this is for my reds. So I'll when I'm done coloring, then I'll just go ahead and rub this until most of the color comes off. And then once most of the color comes off, see, as you can see, it's pretty much done. And then I'll set it aside. It'll be ready for the next time I use it. And I don't have to just use it for Melon Mambo. I can use it for any red. All right, so that's done. Oh, actually, we're not done. All right, so that's done with this layer. So now we're going to do a little detailing on this flower. So I'm going to peel back this tape a little bit. And these decorative masks, when you're done, you can wipe them off with a baby wipe or whatever. I don't have baby wipes. I just rinse them under the sink and pat them dry. You do want to be careful when you dry them. Don't rub, because the next layer that we're using, this one has little pieces right here. And if you rubbed really hard, you might bend them. So I just pat it with a kitchen towel. And I say that because I'm in an RV and I'm very close to my kitchen at all times. So that's handy for me. So I just use a kitchen towel. So whatever you use to wipe your stamps off. So what I'm doing is, this is number 3 actually, and it's the insides of the flowers. So I am lining up my little marks I made earlier, because that kind of just tells me where I'm starting out. And then once I kind of have those in place, now I'm looking down at what I already colored and just making sure that everything's lining up. And as you can see, I have it exactly where I drew it before. So I kind of use that as a guide to help me too. So those are in place. So now I'm going to grab that brush and I'm going to ink up my brush again. I didn't need to clean it off, did I? All right, now I'm going to be a little bit heavier with this because this is going to be outlines. So I'm just being a little bit heavier with how I push down, because I want it to be a little darker, because this is outlining the flower. This is kind of giving the flower detail. So I'm just going around and doing that. You don't have to do it super hard. You just want it to be a detail color. All right, so that looks good. So now I can clean off my brush. I'm just getting the excess off. Okay, so now I'm going to peel this back again. I love this frog tape because you can use it a lot, several times. So now I can just rinse that off. I'm going to set that off aside. Now look at our flower. So now we have detail. Super pretty. And you didn't have to make that detail. The mask did it for you. So now I'm grabbing my old olive. As you can see, these are old pads. Stampin' Up! Pads last so long. And I'm going to grab my leaves, which happen to be number 2. And I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm kind of putting my pad, my mask, where my lines are to kind of start me out, to know where I'm going. It kind of helps with the orientation. And lining everything up nicely. And when it looks good, I'm going to put my tape down like that. Now I'm grabbing my brush that I use for greens, and I have a block here, and I'm going to stamp that block. I just inked this up, so hopefully it's good. It's getting a little dry. And I'm going to put some green on there, and I'm going to brush it a little bit because I want to make sure it's not too dark. And now I'm going to lightly start working on my leaves. Now for me, my pad's a little dry, so I'm having to push a little harder than I did with the pink, just because the Melon Mambo, because my pad is just not as inked up. I probably need to buy a new one. This pad's pretty old. So now you can just go directly onto your pad, but again, I don't like to do that because I feel like it just sucks a lot of ink out that you don't need to have on your brush. So I like to use the block. And if your block gets a little dry, just add a little bit more ink to it. And it's just going to get it from the surface. It's not going down and sucking it out of the middle of the pad like your brush does. So I'm just going to go through and brush this on. It just takes a few minutes, kind of therapeutic. All right, and when I'm happy with that, I'm going to peel back my tape again. And look at that. See how pretty it is? It's just gorgeous. I love it. I cannot believe I've never used masks before in all the years I've been doing this. So I actually have some other masks in my shopping cart now because I enjoyed this so much that I'm going to have to do it more often. I've made 4 or 5 cards now in the last few days using this, and I've enjoyed every single bit of it. So now I've laid the next layer down, and this is the details for the leaves. I'm going to ink this block up again, and I'm going to add some more ink to my brush. And then this also has the stems to the flower, so it's kind of important to do this step because otherwise your stems will be white. So you don't want to skip the details on the leaves because you'll have to go in somehow and fill in your stems. So don't forget to fill those stems in. So I'm just doing the same thing. I'm just inking up my brush and then going over it. You don't even have to worry about staying in the lines because it stays in the lines for you. So I'm just kind of rubbing that on, make sure everything got covered. All right, and I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to clean that off. Set that aside. Peel that back. And there we go. Look how beautiful. So there is one more mask, and it's for the center of the flowers. But I actually find that I like not using it. So let me pull this up. Let me close this so it's not in our way. And then I'm going to pop that piece up. Remember, I put that adhesive on the back. So look how gorgeous that is. It's all colored in. It looks so professional. And all you did was rub a brush over it. So great technique. I love these masks. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to get this tape out of the way because I'm going to use it again. So now I'm flipping this over and I'm grabbing my adhesive eraser and I'm going to erase the little piece of sticky. You could actually probably put this on your silicone mat too. And now I'm just going to go on the back just so it doesn't get stuck to things while I'm creating my card. And I'm just going to erase off that adhesive. It just comes off as a little goober. And so now the back of your card's not sticky anymore. So that's how you take that off. So there's our card. So now the next thing we're going to do is add some texture. Now this would be pretty on the card by itself, or you could use the die. There's a coordinating die. I'll show you those. The coordinating die will actually punch that out. It also has lots of leaves. The dies are great. I'll show you another card I did with the dies, but for now, we are going to grab our Stampin' Emboss cut and emboss machine. I just ordered the little one finally. I've never had the little one, and I've just decided that I'm getting it. And I'd also like to tell you, I told you I was waiting till January 1st to use my new cutting pads. Here they are. I just used them a little bit ago for the first time. It's like refreshing to have brand new, fresh cutting pads. My cutting pads were horrible. They were just so worn out. So here is our embossing folder. Now I want, as you know, embossing folders kind of put a lot of texture on the front of the card. I don't want the texture, I just want the design. So I'm actually, this is how you know the front of the embossing folder has the Stampin' Up. So I'm going to flip it over so it's backwards, and I'm going to put my cardstock in there like that because I want the decoration, but I don't want the bumps on the top. So that's just something you can do. It's your preference, but I wanted it to be soft and not real bumpy. So that's how it's going to go in. So I have it in there. I know it's hard to see. I have a very small table in my RV, so I don't have a lot of room to, I think the smaller embossing machine will be helpful because I can show you a little bit more without having things in the way because I have such a small surface. If you haven't been in an RV, the dining tables are usually a quarter size of a regular dining table. So there we go. I ran it through the embossing folder. And so now you have this really pretty design, but all that bumpy and texture is on the back, so it won't show. So it makes it really pretty. So that's the Softly Sophisticated 3D. It is a 3D embossing folder, by the way. So when you use this, you're using the number 1 pad and the number 4 pad. Those are the only 2 pads you have to use to make that work on the 3D embossing folders. Just a little tip there because sometimes it gets confusing. So now we're going to go grab our pieces that we folded before. So this is our card base. And then this is our piece that we're going to layer on here. So I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet and I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus or glue. Now you could use glue. I'm using the Stampin' Seal Plus because it wants to curl because it went through an embossing machine. So you could kind of like rub it in the opposite direction with your bone folder and straighten that out. But I found that the Stampin' Seal Plus is so strong that it will keep it from curling once you put it on the cardstock. So I just tend to use that. Went a little bit off the edge there, which is the beauty of the Stampin' Seal Plus's tabs, so you can fix that. And so now, just on top of my card, I'm going to just get this as straight as possible. Remember, we left just a narrow margin and place that down. See how nicely that sticks, it doesn't curl up. With my liquid glue, I would have to kind of rub it for a little bit and kind of hold it in place until it really set so that it wouldn't curl up. So that works for me. So now I'm going to just grab my liquid glue because I want to make sure I get this straight, and liquid glue gives me a moment extra time to kind of wiggle it around. I'm bad at getting my layers on my card base straight, so liquid glue is my friend. So there we go. Now I'm gonna make sure I'm looking at the top of the card, although it doesn't really matter. And I'm gonna layer this on the front. Like I said, this is just a simple card layout because I just wanted to show you how easy these masks are to use. So there we go. That is ready. Now, what do you want to do to the front? So one of the dies that comes in this set, I always cut out several just because then I just keep them in the box and have them. But in the die set, you have, of course, this large die that cuts out the entire image. You've got one, two, three, 4 leaves, so you can cut a lot of leaves out at once, which is really nice to layer. And then you've got some flowers, and they actually cut out these little pieces here too. So you've got some lots of floral embellishments, but then you have this nice little tag. So I grabbed the tag. I like to keep my dies on magnets because it's just so much easier, and I put them right in my matching box stamp set so that I know what goes together. So that's just my preference. So I punched out in basic white one of these pieces, and so now I'm just going to grab a stamp, and I've decided to use the one that says "Embrace the Beauty of You," and I'm going to grab my old olive because I want to keep my color theme cohesive. So I'm inking that up really well, and then I'm going to try to put this nice and straight for you. I'm going to stamp that down. There you go. So there is the front, and then we're going to pop that on with some dimensionals as soon as I find them. Love my dimensionals. I use so many. I'm just going to put 3 of these on here. All right. And then it's up to you where you'd like to put it. I think I will put it, first of all, I have to always double check that I have the card the right way. I'm going to put it right here. I hate covering up any of those flowers. They're all so pretty. So there's that. And then I happen to notice I've been wanting to use up these Noble Peacock rhinestones, and the yellowish green ones really go well with this old olive. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a few on here to finish off my color scheme. So I'll put one here, and we'll put one over here. So there's the front of our card. And so now all we have left is the inside, and I'm going to show you a fun way to quickly decorate the inside. I want to leave this kind of as a note card, so I'm not going to put a message on the inside. But one fun thing you can do is grab that stamp again, and you could do this in any of the colors that you're using. It would be pretty in Melon Mambo, or you could do, I'm just going to do the Memento ink, Tuxedo Black, but it would be really pretty in the Melon Mambo too. But I'm inking it up, and then I'm going to grab my stamp, and I'm just going to stamp the corner. So I'm just gonna, I want to leave enough room to write, but I'm gonna stamp the corner like that. Look how pretty that is. And I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna stamp off a little bit so I can clean that stamp, but that's all I'm gonna do. Let's turn this over. So that's all I'm gonna do the inside. So now all I have to do is layer that onto my larger piece like that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pop some glue down on this. So once you've done a couple of these, I mean, you can put a really pretty card together quickly. I think this would be really pretty as a Mother's Day gift or a Mother's Day card, or as a gift you could make a whole pack of these and give them as a gift to your mom. My mom would enjoy getting a whole pack of these to give out to her friends or use as birthday cards or whatever. My mom doesn't drive, so she has a hard time getting to the store sometimes. So this is a great way for her to always have a card handy. So these make great gifts. So that is glued down, and now I'm going to add that final layer on the back. And then I'll show you some other ways that I used these masks to create some other cards. So now we're going to open up the inside. Try not to get glue on my fingers. And I just left a very narrow margin. And this is why I like to use the liquid glue sometimes. See, I can move this around. It's not going to be instantly stuck like the Stampin' Seal. So it gives me a moment to adjust. So there's the inside. See how I kind of continued all the colors on the front. So there's our card. So super simple, pretty, and it's kind of therapeutic to create this card. Let me close this stamp pad before I ink something I'm not supposed to ink. So here's the card we just made. Gorgeous. This is the one I made earlier. I think I did it exactly the same way. Super simple. Here's another color combo. This color combo used balmy blue for the colors of the flowers, and then we used granny apple green for the leaves, and then I used Misty Moonlight and Night of Navy as the card stock colors. So Misty Moonlight, Night of Navy, and Basic White, and then I colored it in balmy blue and granny apple green, and I used the Misty Moonlight for the message and added some linen twine that I had and some rhinestones. And this one I only put one layer of white, and then I used some of those little stamps for the middle. So another pretty card, just totally different color combo. This card, I used some paper from the celebration, that paper that I mentioned earlier that is gold. It's called Most Adored. It's so pretty. It's gold embossed on one side, and then the opposite side is all kinds of like reds and pinks and hearts and very Valentine-y, and it's so super pretty. So I grabbed the gold and then I colored the flowers in Pool Party, and I believe this was Crumb Cake, which ended up being very pretty. And I embossed the main image, the main stamp, that big stamp. I stamped in Versamark and embossed it in gold. So the first thing I did was stamp this card stock in Versamark ink, embossed it with gold embossing powder, and then I did my masks and colored it. And the masks, the ink will not stick to wherever the embossing is, so it really comes out pretty. And then I used some Crumb Cake cardstock to stamp my image and added some brass butterflies. And then this I used the Deckled Circles dies to cut out a round piece of vellum and layered that on there with dimensionals, so it kind of gave it some height. So very pretty card. I love the color. I ended up really loving this card. And then inside I didn't put anything. I just stamped the corner in Crumb Cake, so it's tone on tone, and added my sentiment. So super pretty card, very, very different. And then finally, this is the other card I did. I used the boho blue, and I used boho blue ink and just stamped the large stamp in several places around the cardstock. And then I cut a layer of basic white using the perennial postage stamps, which is a new set. There's a new suite of products in the mini catalog with that stamp set, and it's so versatile. It's all sizes from very large all the way down. This is the largest one right here, and they look like postage, so you could use that with so many stamps. And then I did my basic stamping and coloring like I showed you, but I die cut the image when I was done. So this is die cut, and then I added die cuts of all the leaves, and I did that in, oh, what color is this? forgetting. Wait, I have it right here. Soft seafoam. So I cut the flowers out of soft seafoam and layered those underneath and used dimensionals to pop it up. And then I used a smaller postage. So this makes a great Mother's Day card. And then in the inside, I used, and I stamped these flowers in basic gray. So this is basic gray. And the main stamp was basic gray. And then I used gorgeous grape and granny apple green for the leaves. So it makes a really pretty card. So there are 4 ways that you can do this. And I didn't even mention, you can just simply stamp this image onto paper all by itself, and it's beautiful. Especially a dark cardstock, you can just stamp this image and emboss it, like with gold or white powder or anything like that, and it's pretty all alone. So those are the items. These will all be on my blog. I'll have pictures of everything, and of course I'll add my cutting instructions and everything you need to know to create your own beautifully masked cards. Again, these are great for Mother's Day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more and never miss a video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll have a link below to my website with all of the cutting and instructions and information you will need. So thanks again for joining me. I'm Jill, the Wandering Stamper, and I hope you get a chance to craft today. Thanks for your time.